We Should All Be Millionaires, by Rachel Rodgers. Introduction. Imagine this for a moment. You're a young lawyer, just starting out. You're brilliant, you're ambitious, but you are barely scraping by. You're also pregnant with your second child, and you've just been put on bed rest. Every dollar counts. You've been working for months to land your first big corporate client, and you finally did it. The work is done, the invoice is sent, and after what feels like an eternity, the check arrives. It's for $5,000, the largest single payment you have ever received in your entire life. This isn't just money. This is freedom. This is the deposit for the only good childcare in town. The very thing you need to be able to take on more clients and pull your family out of financial precarity. Everything hinges on this check. So, you pull on whatever sweatpants are on the floor, head to the bank, and proudly slide the check to the teller. You feel like a true professional, a boss, even if you don't look like one. The teller deposits it, hands you the receipt, and says with a polite smile, "It will be available in 2 weeks. Have a great day." 2 weeks. Your heart sinks. After waiting for months, you can't afford another 2 weeks. Your daughter will lose her spot. The whole plan will crumble. So you lean in and whisper, asking if there's any way to remove the hold. The teller directs you to the manager, an older man in a suit who now holds your family's future in his hands. You wait, feeling your face flush with embarrassment, regretting your sweatpants, feeling like a loser for not being more financially secure. You tell him your story. He nods, then huddles with another banker, and you watch as they analyze your account, judging your every purchase, deciding if you're trustworthy enough. In that moment, watching two strangers debate your fate, something inside you shifts. It's not just shame anymore. It's a cold, hard determination. You say to yourself, "Never again. Never again will my family's well-being be decided by anyone other than me." That young lawyer was Rachel Rodgers, and that humiliating moment at the bank became the catalyst for a journey that would transform her from a struggling entrepreneur into a self-made millionaire. That day, she left the bank, secured the childcare, and then went home and got to work. That year, her business revenue grew from $60,000 to $300,000. Her story, and the powerful lessons she learned along the way, are the foundation of her book, We Should All Be Millionaires. It's a book with a title so bold, so unapologetic, that it forces you to ask a question. Could I? Should I? Today, we are going to explore the answer to that question. By the end of our time together, you will understand a secret that very few people ever learn, that becoming a millionaire isn't about luck, or genius, or having a perfect background. It's about a series of deliberate decisions, a shift in mindset, and a new way of seeing yourself and your value in the world. You'll discover that the very things holding you back are not your circumstances, but the invisible stories you've been told, and have told yourself, about money. And most importantly, you will learn why building wealth, especially for those who have been historically kept from it, isn't just a personal goal. It's an act of power, of liberation, and of profound service to the world. Book summary. So, where do we begin this journey? We begin inside a kind of prison. It's a prison without walls or bars, but it's incredibly effective at keeping people trapped. It's the prison of our own thoughts about money. Rachel Rodgers argues that for generations, and especially for women, society has been whispering a story into our ears. It's a story filled with what she calls million-dollar lies. You've heard them before. The media tells women that they're shopaholics, that their daily latte is the reason for their financial ruin. The advice is always to shrink, to cut back, to save coupons, to be frugal. The message is, your financial world should be small. Meanwhile, the advice given to men is the exact opposite. Invest, take risks, spend money to achieve power. It's a subtle but powerful difference. Girls are taught to save. Boys are taught to earn. Girls are told to be careful with money. Boys are told to make it. This isn't just cultural. It's historical. It wasn't until 1974, with the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, that women in America could get a credit card or a business loan without a man to co-sign for them. Think about that. Our mothers and grandmothers were legally prevented from building wealth on their own terms. These lies, This history create what Rachel calls our $1,000,000 story, or more accurately, our broke-ass story. It's the narrative we carry inside us about what we're worth and what's possible for us. Rachel shares her own story with unflinching honesty. She remembers a brief, beautiful period in her childhood when her family was moving on up. They bought a condo, took family vacations, and her mother would take her and her sister on shopping trips every Saturday. It was a time of abundance, a time without struggle, but it didn't last. Her father was laid off, her mother quit her job, and suddenly they went from shopping trips to food stamps. The condo was lost, and the family never regained its financial footing. Later, as a child, she recalls being invited on a shopping trip with friends, having only $33 in rolled-up quarters to her name. She pretended not to like anything in the stores because she couldn't afford it. The only thing she could buy was a wallet, an aspirational purchase for a girl with no money to put in it. That experience, the shame of paying with food stamps, the feeling of being on the outside looking in, shaped her story about money. It taught her that even if you achieve financial success, it could all vanish in an instant. It's a fear she admits she still carries. This is the heart of the problem. We all have these stories. Maybe your parents argued about money constantly, teaching you that money is a source of conflict. Maybe you were told that rich people are greedy or money is the root of all evil, teaching you that wanting wealth is a moral failing. These are what Rachel calls broke-ass thoughts. They form the bars of our mental prison. The first step to freedom, she says, is not to earn more money, but to change your mind. This is a practice she calls thought work. It's simple, but not easy. When a negative, limiting thought enters your mind, like I'm just not good with money, you don't accept it as fact. You challenge it. You ask, where did this thought come from? How does it make me feel? And most importantly, what is a better, more empowering way to think about this? Instead of I'm not good with money, you can choose to think, building wealth is a skill that I can learn. Instead of making money is hard, you can reframe it as, there are infinite ways to make money, and I can find one that feels good to me. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist. It's about choosing a thought that leads to action over one that leads to paralysis. You are shifting your story from one of weakness to one of power. Once you begin to change your internal story, you can start changing your external reality. This begins by making a new kind of decision. Rachel introduces a brilliant, simple framework that becomes the cornerstone of the book. The difference between a broke-ass decision or a BAD and a $1,000,000 decision, an MDD. A broke-ass decision is anything that steals your time and energy, depletes your mental space, and makes you feel weak, insecure, and trapped. It's saying yes to a project you don't want to do just to please someone. It's spending hours trying to save a few dollars with coupons instead of using that time to figure out how to earn a few hundred. It's tolerating a situation that drains you because you're afraid to have a difficult conversation. A $1,000,000 decision, on the other hand, is one that creates time and energy, frees up mental space, and makes you feel strong, secure, and free. It's a decision that expands your life instead of contracting it. To bring this to life, she tells the tale of two women, Broke Boo and Rich Boo. Broke Boo is the epitome of a woman making broke-ass decisions. She has a decent job, but her boss gave her a promotion 6 months ago with more work and still hasn't given her the promised raise. She's brilliant at real estate, but instead of using her own savings to buy an investment property, she helps her boyfriend buy one, doing all the work for free while he reaps the financial reward. She spends 12 hours a week driving her kids to activities, cooks dinner every single night for her kids and her boyfriend, and walks the dog every morning, even though she's exhausted. She's Superwoman, but she's running on empty, stressed about money, and her dreams are permanently on the back burner. Then there's Rich Boo. She makes $1,000,000 decisions. When she was offered her job, she didn't just accept the initial salary. She negotiated it up by $40,000, plus commission. She has a side hustle she loves, and she charges top dollar for it. She doesn't try to do everything herself. She taught her kids how to pack their own lunches and has a dog walker, which frees up time for her to go to the gym. She is taking risks, outsourcing, and prioritizing her own well-being. She is not just living a better life. she is creating the conditions for her wealth to grow. The difference between broke boo and rich boo isn't their intelligence or their circumstances. It's the quality of their decisions. So why do so many of us live like broke boo? Rachel identifies three main reasons. First, we are biologically wired to want to be liked, and making million-dollar decisions often means disappointing people. Second, we hang out with people who are also making broke-ass decisions, and their mindset becomes our own. And third, we live in a broke-ass environment, constantly absorbing media messages that reinforce scarcity and fear. The antidote to these forces is to become intentional about your choices. And a huge part of that is learning to set what Rachel calls million-dollar boundaries. This is a profound shift for many. A boundary isn't about controlling other people. You can't. A boundary is about what you will do. It's about saying yes to yourself. If your boss emails you at 10 p.m., the boundary isn't telling him to stop. The boundary is you choosing not to check your email after 5 p.m. If your partner doesn't do their share of the housework, the boundary isn't nagging them. It's you deciding to stop doing their share for them. You stop cooking every night, or you hire a cleaner. You take back your power by controlling your own actions. This leads to another essential piece of the puzzle. You cannot do this alone. Building wealth, she says, is like climbing Mount Everest. No one does it by themselves. You need guides, you need equipment, and you need a team. You need a million-dollar squad. Research shows that the people you associate with determine as much as 95% of your success or failure in life. If you are surrounded by people who complain but never act, who see obstacles instead of opportunities, their gravity will hold you down. But if you surround yourself with people who are ambitious, who support your dreams, who are making million-dollar decisions of their own, their momentum will pull you up. Rachel powerfully argues that for women, this squad is not just helpful, it's essential. Studies have found that the highest achieving women almost always have a close inner circle of 2 to 3 other women who provide support and gender-specific advice. You don't need to wait for a powerful man to open a door for you. You and your squad can build your own door. With your new mindset, your new decision-making framework, and your new support system in place, you are ready for the final piece of the behavioral shift, crafting your million-dollar vision. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's a practical, mathematical exercise. Rachel tells the story of how, after jogging past that stunning $2.7 million house and feeling defeated, she went home and did something radical. She allowed herself to dream, and then she did the math. She calculated the actual monthly cost of her ideal life. $1 million home, private school for the kids, a new car, family vacations, a full-time nanny, even paying her mom's rent. When she added it all up, it came to about $25,000 a month, or $300,000 a year. Suddenly, her dream wasn't a fuzzy fantasy. It was a number. A big, audacious number, but a concrete target. It was a goal she could work toward. And here, she introduces one of the most powerful concepts in the book. Be her now. Don't wait until you have the money to start acting like the person you want to become. Who is the woman who earns $300,000 a year? How does she carry herself? What are her daily habits? How does she treat herself? You start embodying that person today. For Rachel, it started with something as simple as getting regular haircuts. For years, she had managed her own hair to save money. But when she started investing in salon visits, she left feeling like $1 million. And when she felt like $1 million, she was more confident, more likely to reach out to potential clients, and more likely to record a marketing video. That small upgrade in her feeling state led to a massive upgrade in her income. Just 3 years after doing that calculation, she had achieved her dream. This entire first half of the book is about laying the foundation. It's about rewiring your brain for wealth before you even start the practical work. Once that foundation is set, you're ready for the roadmap. The second part of the book transitions from why to how. It starts with understanding your $1 million value. To illustrate the cost of not knowing your value, Rachel shares the most painful story in the book, a business partnership that turned into a 3-year, $150,000 lawsuit. She partnered with someone because she suffered from imposter syndrome. She didn't believe she could launch a successful product on her own. That single belief, That lack of confidence in her own value cost her money, time, stress, and friendships. Imposter syndrome, she says, is women's silent money killer. It's why women apply for promotions only when they meet 100% of the requirements, while men apply when they meet just 60%. It's why we undercharge, work for free, and doubt our own expertise. To combat this, you must actively identify your value. She introduces the concept of the 4 zones. Incompetence, what you're bad at; competence, what you're okay at; excellence, what you're very skilled at; and genius. Your zone of genius is where your natural, innate talents lie. It's the work that feels like breathing, that you could do for hours without tiring. This, she argues, is where your millions are hiding. You must stop trying to improve your weaknesses and instead double down on your genius. Once you understand your value, the next logical step is million-dollar pricing. Here, she tells another great story. Early in her law practice, a friend and fellow lawyer, Lori Daniel Favors, sent her a message: "Love the services, but your prices are way too low." Rachel was defensive at first, but the comment stuck. She decided to try an experiment. On her very next client call, with her heart pounding, she quoted a price that was double her old rate. After a terrifying pause, the client replied, "Okay, I'll take 2. In that one moment, she made $3,000. The key, she explains, is to switch from hourly pricing to value-based pricing. Don't charge for the time it takes you to do the work. Charge for the value of the result you deliver. A copywriter who writes an email that generates $300,000 in sales shouldn't be paid for 10 hours of her time. She should be paid for the $300,000 result she created. This applies whether you're an entrepreneur or an employee negotiating a salary. You must articulate the value you bring, not just the tasks you perform. Now, as you start earning more, a new problem arises. You run out of time. This is where the million-dollar team comes in. Rachel uses the example of celebrities like Chrissy Teigen, who have a house manager, nannies, and accountants, to normalize the idea of hiring help. But she makes it accessible. A recent Harvard study proved that buying back your time, by paying for services like cleaning, grocery delivery, or childcare, is one of the most effective ways to increase your happiness. She urges every reader to make their first hire, a personal assistant, for just 5 hours a week. For about $400 a month, you can buy back 20 hours of your time you can then use to generate thousands more in income, or simply to rest and recharge. She tells the story of a photographer client who hired 2 part-time assistants and, with her freed-up time, launched a new coaching business that brought in an extra $20,000 a month. Hiring help isn't an expense. It's the single best investment you can make in your own growth. With a team in place, you need structure. You need million-dollar systems. Rachel is candid about her own past, admitting she used to be bad with money, with a 480 credit score and constant overdraft fees. The shift, she says, came from moving away from scarcity thinking, the belief that every dollar could be your last, to abundance thinking, which is the trust in your ability to always make more. Systems are how you automate abundance. This means tracking your net worth and credit score, even if it's scary at first, because what gets measured gets managed. It means setting up a proper business entity and a separate bank account. And it includes her unique ritual: a weekly money church, a 90-minute date with your finances to review your numbers, reframe limiting beliefs, and brainstorm new money-making ideas. She also takes aim at traditional personal finance advice. Gurus who tell you to scrimp and save, she argues, are teaching you to play a small game. They teach you to shrink. Rachel's philosophy is the opposite. Expand. Spend your energy not on how to save $5, but on how to earn an extra $500. The book culminates in a final, powerful call to action. Rachel shares how, in the middle of the 2020 pandemic, with her business revenue plummeting, she and her team pivoted and created a new coaching community. The launch was so successful that with just a couple of days left in the month, they were at over $600,000 in revenue. She had a crazy idea. Could they make $1 million in 1 month? With just 24 hours to go, she put out the call to her community. And with their support, they did it. The impossible is only impossible until you do it. And so, she passes the torch to the reader with one final, audacious challenge: make $10,000 in 10 days. This isn't just about the money. It's about proving to yourself that you can make money on demand. It's about building that money-making muscle. She provides a blueprint. Create a short-term, high-value offer like a VIP day, charge for your advice, or host an event. She shares the results from her own community, where 350 women collectively generated $2.3 million in just 10 days by taking this challenge. You don't need a perfect website, a business card, or a big social media following. All you need, she concludes, is a clear offer, a price, a way to tell people about it, and a way to take their money. And with that, the journey from broke-ass thoughts to $1 million bank account is no longer a distant dream. It's a clear, actionable plan. Commentary. As we step back from this powerful roadmap, what is the single most important lesson we can take away from We Should All Be Millionaires? It's this: building wealth is not, first and foremost, a financial activity. It is a psychological one. The numbers in your bank account are simply a reflection of the stories you believe about yourself. If you believe you are not worthy, not capable, or not the type of person to be wealthy, your financial reality will align with that belief. But if you can change that internal story, if you can decide that you are worthy, that your skills are valuable, and that you deserve abundance, then the money is simply a matter of strategy. For anyone listening, especially if you are young and just starting to form your ideas about work and money, this is perhaps the most valuable lesson you could ever learn. The world will give you 1,000 reasons to think small. It will tell you to be realistic, to play it safe, to not ask for too much. This book is a powerful antidote to that poison. It is a permission slip to be ambitious, to want more, and to unapologetically pursue it. The author's argument that wealth for women is a revolutionary act is particularly profound. When a woman builds wealth, she gains agency. She can leave a bad job or a bad relationship. She can invest in her community, support causes she believes in, and create opportunities for others. As the book points out, working women invest 90% of their income back into their families and communities, compared to just 35% for men. When women have money, the entire world benefits. Your financial success is not a selfish act. It is an act of service. So, how can you begin to apply these ideas today, right now? Here are 3 simple actions. First, for the next week, become an observer of your own thoughts. When you think about money, what do you say to yourself? Do you hear broke-ass thoughts like "I can't afford that" or "I'm bad with money"? Just notice them, without judgment. Awareness is the first step to change. Second, make one small $1 million decision. Identify one thing you are tolerating that drains your energy, a commitment you dread, a task you hate, a conversation you've been avoiding. Then, set a boundary. Say no to that thing so you can say yes to your own peace. Third, identify one piece of your $1 million value. What is one thing that comes naturally to you, that people consistently compliment you on? It could be your ability to listen, your knack for organizing, or your sense of humor. For today, stop seeing it as just a personality trait. Recognize it for what it is: a valuable, marketable skill. That was the book summary of We Should All Be Millionaires by Rachel Rodgers. We've journeyed through the core ideas today, but a summary is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. You can see the landmarks and understand the layout, but it's nothing like actually walking the streets, smelling the food, and hearing the music for yourself. The real transformation happens in the quiet moments when you're reading, and a single story or a powerful phrase speaks directly to you in a way you didn't expect. This summary is your map, designed to help you decide if this journey is one you want to take. If anything we've discussed today has sparked a fire in you, I encourage you to grab a copy of the book. Because reading it isn't just about learning, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you see yourself, your money, and your future. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please consider liking this video and subscribing to Billionaire's Bookshelf. It helps our community grow, and it ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's continue to build our knowledge and our wealth together.